Hello again and welcome to Full Charge Motorsport. I'm about to start work on the bonnet skin, so I just thought I'd give you an update of where it's at, and maybe if I can work out how to do it, I will show some shots while I'm working on it. So there's a couple of things that I need to do to make sure I get a reasonable result. One is that the lower anvil of the wheel does have some movement to it. I have tightened these bolts to minimise that movement. There is still a little bit more which can be removed pretty much with this lower nut, but I need a little bit of slack so that I can move it up or down to start with, and then I'll tighten it later. The more movement we get, the rougher the result, so I need to try and reduce that movement. So previously I added a couple of marks here, so this is where I need the shape, most of the shape of this. So I'll get started on that. One of the things I need to watch is that a flat piece of aluminium has some flex to it, as you can hear. I need to be careful that it doesn't flex while it's in the anvil, otherwise that will add shape where I don't want shape. So that's something that I've got to watch. So I'm going to place it in with the marks up because I know that that's the outside of the panel. Tighten it and start pulling down slightly to add some shape into those areas I was just mentioning. Moving it in and out and left to right to stretch the panel in the area where I want the shape. Now I just realised that I need to put my gloves on. Okay, so you can now see I've only done the this side here, I haven't done the other side, but you can see the difference. Hopefully I can get an angle that shows you that difference. So there is some subtle shape getting added there. I need to be really, really careful because if I go too far and put too much shape in, it's really difficult to get that shape back out. So I am going to my frame as a reference very regularly. I'll just check how that shape is going. So you can get the idea that that only took maybe a minute to put that amount of shape in. It's not enough yet, but it's certainly heading in the right direction. So I'll do the same on the other side, and then keep progressing and keep checking on a regular basis. See, what I'm doing is, as I'm pulling back, I'm also pulling down, and what that does is adds shape to the point where the wheel is in contact with the panel at the time that I pull down. So pulling straight back and forwards smooths the panel and evens out any imperfections. So kind of gives a more gradual shape. But where I want more pronounced shape, I will pull down on the panel like that. Where it gets a little tricky because you start getting some odd shapes occurring. It's not anything aware of and try and diagnose and deal with as we go. So it looks pretty ugly at the moment, but it is getting some shape to it. So I think what I need to do is add some more shape about here, and that'll bring this part of the panel around a bit further. So I'll do that. Again, I'm very conscious that too much shaping can be very difficult to do. So, I did also forget to mention that the lower angle I'm using has a very gradual radius to it. It's not a very tight radius at all. That's because the panel that I'm trying to achieve needs to be quite a gradual curve on it. So I'll pause now and I'll get back to you shortly. Intended skin, as you can see, perfectly flat at the moment. There's a rough cut, which means this is probably a, oh, there you go. This edge is just outside where roughly the real edge will be. This is for a couple of reasons. One is that it gives me some room to, when I'm putting it through the wheel, I can wheel all the way past the edge a lot easier without the wheel falling off the edge. The other thing is that when I put it on the frame, which is here, the frame sits inside that line and the skin will actually go over the top and then curve under and wrap around the frame and attach that way. So there's the frame, that's the shape that I'm intending to achieve. So it's probably good that I've got it there because I want to basically mark the area where the shape needs to be. So the shape is mostly at the front of the nose, so down in this section here, not so much in the middle, but certainly in these corners. So I'm just going to go like that and like. Welcome back to Full Charge Motorsport. Still working on the bonnet skin, probably about 2 hours in now. As you can see, it's supporting its own weight, which means that there is a fair bit of shape there. It's getting pretty close, still a lot more to go, but effectively my target is that if I can get it to the point where I can see, I can currently make it attached to the frame like so, but in the process it's kinking up here and on the other side at the same point. So my goal is that if I can hold it to the frame without it kinking like that, then it's probably about right. There are some inconsistencies in the shape, but I've got to get the basic shape right first, then I'll iron out the imperfections. But basically, if I hold it up against the frame, you can see down there that it's that point and the same point on the other side that's holding the skin off. So that's where I need to stretch more, is still through this center section here, as per usual. That's where all the shape is in this panel. So I'll continue on and you'll see it evolve. But welcome back to Full Charge Motorsport. Still working on the skin for the bonnet, probably an hour and a half in now. I've placed it temporarily on the car just as a demonstration of where this is heading and where it's at. You can see that there's a little bit of shape coming in here, but a lot more required. The shape up the back is good. Looks like it's too much, but it will flatten out when I attach it to the frame. So I'm fairly happy with that, as long as I don't go too much further. But obviously the nose needs to settle down quite a lot more. So where it's striking is here through to here. So I just need to add way more shape in here in the middle, in the first third here, which will then allow that to pop up and the rest of the bonnet to then settle down. So that's the idea. You can shrink this, not with the wheel, but with the kick shrinker. But the effect on the metal is like this, where it's okay. I mean, I could probably get away with it, but it's a bonnet, so I want it to be as smooth as possible. So I'm hoping to achieve the right shape just using the wheel. That's the intent. But this is the first time I've done this, so wish me luck. As you can see, I've made a bit of progress on the bonnet skin. It is now reasonably fitting the frame. Still a little bit of fine tuning to go, but that's roughly it. You can see what it looks like from the other side. I'll just flip it over. There we go. So there is still some imperfections, but you get the idea. Don't forget that there's probably about 2 inches to come off the front and about 1.5 inches off the sides and back, so it looks a lot deeper than it will actually end up being. So that's, you can see, I did end up using the kick shrinker. I didn't want to, but you know, it looks a lot worse than it is when you actually feel it. It actually feels quite smooth because it's been through the wheel since using the kick shrinker. And there's a couple of imperfections there and up here and stuff, but I'll iron all of that out in the next phase. That's about it. Welcome back to Full Charge Motorsport. I am continuing to work on the skin for the bonnet for the aluminium Spyder electric vehicle, and as you can see, there's the frame underneath. Probably only an hour in, so not that far just yet. The back, as I mentioned in a previous video, is looking pretty good, so I'm trying to stay clear of that. Add in a lot of shape in here. What that does is then moves that material out, which allows this material to then settle against the bonnet. So you can see it's starting to take effect. I'm not sure how well you can see that in the video, but so I'll just continue adding shape here. I just need to be careful that I don't add too much and end up with a bulge in the middle of the bonnet. It needs to be quite subtle and then blended in down to the back. So it's quite challenging to get the effect that I'm after, but so far so good. I'll just keep focusing on this area here. Basically what I'm doing is stretching this material here, which basically allows this to sit up off the bonnet and allow the rest of the material to then settle onto the bonnet, onto the frame.